Hello, my lovely friends. My name is Rue. How do you do? We're doing a book video, and this video is specifically for my patron, Courtney. I did like a little special for my Patreon. The first 3 people to sign up for my 2 upper tiers got a custom video request. So this is for Courtney. And Courtney wanted me to make a video where I do some book tapping, some book ripping, and talk about some of my favorite books. Which is hard for me because I just have a hard time picking favorites. I also have a really bad memory. So like I couldn't tell you the books I've read over the years. I'm sorry about the Blue Jays. And I have a hard time remembering books I've read that I like. But if you had asked me, like when I was a teenager or a young adult probably, what my favorite book was, I probably would have said The Hobbit. I loved The Hobbit so much. And I read this, I'm trying to think, probably middle school, I think. Maybe earlier than middle school. I don't know. It was somewhere around there. And it's the book that like started my obsession with the like Middle Earth universe. Because I don't think I've talked a lot about this on my channel, but I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings when I was in high school, middle school, high school. Like special interest level into Lord of the Rings. And this was the book that sparked that obsession. So it will always have a special place in my heart. And I think this was, I don't know if this was even maybe the original book I read. I don't know. I've had it for a long time. But I just love this universe. I particularly love the Hobbits, like, and like the Shire. Like, I want to be a Hobbit and I want to live in the Shire. And like that is goals for me. So had to include this book because it has a special place in my heart. I should read it again, really. It's just, love it. So I had to include The Hobbit. That's like one of the books I can remember that is a favorite from the past. So the next few books I'm going to talk about are more recent because I can remember them. So these are kind of just like books I've read over the last year or 2 that I have, or like that have stood out, I guess. So. Okay, so the next book I have here is a little different. Like, it's not something I would normally read, I don't think. It's the Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. And I just really like John Green a lot, and Hank Green as well. But John Green, I just really relate to him a lot. Like, I think it's the OCD thing. My brain works very similarly to his, and a lot of things he says are very relatable to me, and like how he experiences the world is relatable to me. So I had to get this book, and I got one of the signed copies, which like isn't really a big deal because he signed so many. But there's his signature. And if you don't know what this book is about, it's like he's reviewing just like random stuff on a 5-star scale. And he's like, I don't know, just like telling little stories and like let me give you some examples of things he's reviewed. Halley's Comet. I know he reviewed like Diet Dr. Pepper because he's like obsessed with Diet Dr. Pepper, I think. Super Mario Kart. I also loved that he like reviewed like the signature, and like if you like look in some of the first pages, there's like little hidden reviews. I don't know. I just really like that. But this book came out in, I want to say 2021, and I was like, I have to get it, and I have to get the signed copy. Because I just, like, during the, am I allowed to say the you know, the thing that happened in 2020? I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word on YouTube and like not get whatever. Anyways, during that time, it was a difficult time, and one of the things that really brought me joy during that time, or like made me laugh, was the Green Brothers podcast and like their videos and stuff. So when he came out with this book, I was like, okay, I need this book. And I don't know, I really enjoyed it. Like, just so much of the way he thinks and the way he looks at the world and stuff is so similar to how I experience it. So it just felt very, I don't know, funny, relatable. I really enjoyed it. So, including this one. Should probably move on. Okay, so the next one is 3 books. It's a trilogy. And these books are so, I hadn't read or been a reader for very many years. Like, I just never made time for it. Even though I wanted to read, I just never, it was just hard to find time, whatever. And this book series is sort of the thing that started me into like being more of a reader. So I had to include it. It's called the Winter Night Trilogy. And so this is book number 1, The Bear and the Nightingale. And it's a, oh, there's dust fuzzy. Sorry. It's a story about, I don't even know how to explain it. It's set in like Russia. And it follows a girl. What is her name? It's like Vasya or something. But it's like, it's a Russian folk lore sort of story things combined with kind of the history of the time. So she used like real events that happened in Russia, but she like mixed it with like the mythological stuff, folklore sort of things, and I loved it so much. And it got me really interested in like Russia and like I don't know what to call it, like sort of paganism sort of things, which is a very broad term, but like folklore, I don't know. This is book number 2, The Girl in the Tower. I will say it was a little difficult for me to get into the first book initially because of the like Russian names and like they would talk about the little, I guess they're like spirits or something, and they would have sort of like Russian names, so I found it a little hard to distinguish what was what at first. But like once I got into it and once I kind of figured it out, I was like really into it. So this is the second book of the trilogy, and then the last book is called The Winter of the Witch. But yeah, I really enjoyed this trilogy. I was so sad when it was over because I was just like really into this world. But I really enjoyed it. I love it when you find like a trilogy you enjoy, because it's like you get to be in this world for so much longer than just like a single book. That's like so exciting to me. I did get like I found another book in one of those like free library things, and it's set in like modern day, I think New York, but it's like it's kind of like a modern spin on Russian folklore, I think. I'll probably talk about it in a future video, but I'm interested to see what that book's like, because I really liked the Russian folklore aspect of these books, so I'm interested to see what they do with it in that book. But yeah, I'll probably read that book next. We'll see. But yeah, had to mention this trilogy because honestly it's like what got me back into reading, and I've been reading continually since then. Then the next book I have is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. And apparently I think I'm just really into her writing. Like, she's just a really phenomenal writer. But I've been like really into historical fiction this year, and she writes really good historical fiction, I think. But this book is set in the like Great Depression era in America, and this family lives in, I'm trying to think, I think it's Oklahoma or Texas, but it's like during the Dust Bowl, like when everything was just super dry and like dusty. But it was so good. I remember finishing this book and I was like, this is one of my favorite reads this year. It was just really good. It has like sad moments. Like, I feel like her books really just make me feel things. Like, it has a lot of emotion. And I feel like she does a really good job of like capturing the history of that time period. So I feel like I'm sort of learning something while I'm reading this like fictional story. And I love that. So this was a favorite for the year, definitely. And then I have another book by her that I just finished called The Nightingale. But yeah, like I said, this is called The Nightingale. It's also by Kristen Hanna. Like I said, she's just a really good writer. But this is set during World War II in France. And it kind of follows the stories of two sisters. So it's like, I think her goal was to tell the stories of the women of this war and the ways they helped. And it was really good. Also very emotional, sad at points. But really, really good. Would definitely recommend. And I've also been really into like the World War II history lately, so it was phenomenal. The Eiffel Tower here. I think I need to just read more of her books. They're so good, you guys. And she's written like a lot of books. I got into her books from Firefly Lane. She wrote Firefly Lane, if you've watched the Netflix series. And I'm so glad I did, because they're just really good books. And I think I saw that she wrote another World War II time period book. And I think I need to find it and read that one. Because this one was really good. So, I just finished this one. And I had to include it because, again, it was just wonderful. It was really good, really good. And then the last one that I want to talk about is actually up there. I forgot to get it. I'll just get one of the books because it's a trilogy. And I know I've talked about this series in another video, but I had to include it because I was obsessed with this series. It's the Montague siblings trilogy, I guess. And this is the third one, which was my favorite of the series. But it basically follows the Montague siblings. They kind of like go on little adventures around Europe, and there's always sort of a fantasy element. It's like historical up to a certain point, and then there's like some sort of mythology in there. But I loved it because there's like queer characters, there's like disabled characters, there's this is Adrian, and he, like, it doesn't say he has OCD because obviously they didn't know what OCD was, but he is written like he has OCD. So I just loved the diversity of these characters, and it was just good. So good. I was obsessed. And this last one particularly, it was really good because I related a lot to this character. And it was also, I just really enjoyed seeing all the siblings together and like bonding, and it was just really good, you guys. So I had to include this in my favorites because I was obsessed. But yeah, that's kind of the favorites over the past few years. Like I said, I don't really remember past favorites. I also don't have them to tap on, so these are mostly recent, except The Hobbit, which is also a great book. But yeah, thank you so much, Courtney, for signing up for my Patreon. I'm so glad that you're there. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope the rest of you enjoyed it as well. But yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in my next video. Okay?